You know how in the 1999 movie The Matrix, a deja vu means there's a glitch in the Matrix? Well, I think I have an example of that. You see, back in elementary school, I was in math class, and there was this kid, Franklin, sitting right next to me. And during the class, I look over, and he's just zoned out, staring at the ceiling like... And I'm like, Franklin, what are you doing? And he's like, you know, I was just thinking, have you noticed how ugly Ric Flair actually is? I'm like, what? And he's like, he's supposed to be like this super playboy, but have you noticed how ugly he actually is? And I'm like, yeah, you're right. Now fast forward years later, now it's the end of high school, completely new set of friends, and I'm sitting in the high school library next to this guy named Kevin. We're studying, and then I look over, and he's completely zoned out, tapping his pencil, like... And I'm like, Kevin, are you okay? And he's like, you know, I was just thinking, have you noticed how ugly X-Pac is? And I'm like, what? He's like, he's supposed to be this super cool guy in DX, but have you noticed how ugly he actually is? And I'm like, well, I mean, he looks okay to me. I mean, better than when he was on the 1, 2, 3 Kid, right? Now fast forward to just a few weeks ago. I'm in a restaurant with a bunch of people, completely new people. I look over at the guy next to me, and he's holding his fork, and he's completely frozen, like... I'm like, dude, are you okay? And he's like, you know, I was just thinking, have you noticed how ugly Daniel Bryan is? I'm like, what? And he's like, he's like, he's supposed to be like this big name world champion, but that is one ugly ass motherfucker. Dude, how the hell does the same wrestling conversation happen to me 3 times at 3 separate points in time? You know, like, and all 3 times the guys were on the right side. You know, it's like a glitch in the Matrix. So my question now is, who's the 4th member gonna be? You know, who's gonna be the 4th member of that Survivor Series team? You know, so far we have Ric Flair, X-Pac, and Daniel Bryan. Who is gonna be the 4th member of the Survivor Series team of... Have you noticed how ugly this guy actually is? You know, like, who do you think it's going to be? Is it going to be like Kenny Omega? Kevin Owens? Sasha Banks? You know, who do you think is going to be the final member of that Survivor Series team? The 2 things that are missing in wrestling today are number 1, size, and number 2, charisma. I mean, remember back in the day when wrestlers used to be like the ultimate alpha males? You know, like Hulk Hogan, Andre the Giant, the Ultimate Warrior, the Macho Man, The Rock, the Great One. You know, they were like 100 miles per hour, and when they came out, you were like, whoa, because they were larger than life. You know, wrestlers used to be these big bad asses that took no shit from anyone, and you just looked on them with awe. And that's what the mainstream audience wants to see. They want to see larger than life physical specimens like Hulk Hogan, 6'8", 300 pounds. They want to see larger than life personalities like the Macho Man and Rowdy Roddy Piper. They want the ultimate alpha males. They don't want these everyday skinny looking guys like Seth Rollins and Daniel Bryan. They don't want these vanilla indie jobbers flipping around in the ring and talking about video games, because that's not larger than life. When you look at champions like Kofi Kingston and Seth Rollins, they don't look like world champions. They look like everyday guys like you and me. I mean, come on. Do these look like world champions to you? They look like everyday guys. We used to have world champions that were larger than life. Now we have champions that look like everyday vanilla indie jobbers. The mainstream audience wants champions that are larger than life. They don't want champions that look like everyday people. In my opinion, they want champions that look like The Rock. They don't want champions that look like Sean's View or something. You know, they don't want PS Power in the ring winning the title. Yeah, I'm the champion. You know, like some everyday guy. No, they want guys like Stone Cold and the Ultimate Warrior. They want larger than life. Think about Ravishing Rick Rude. Now think about Joey Ryan. Even though their gimmicks are similar, one looks like a badass alpha male and the other one looks like a goofy little joke, alright? In my opinion, people want world champions that look like Ravishing Rick Rude, not Joey Ryan. Can you see the difference, alright? Back in the day, we had Stone Cold spraying the corporation with the beer truck. These days, nowadays, I'm looking at Kevin Owens in the food court going, come on, it's not even close. This was on the front page of the WWE webpage. Braun Strowman destroying a car like he's this big badass. But when you scroll down on the exact same front page, there he is sitting at a table smiling with two girls. Like, what the hell? Isn't he supposed to be an unstoppable monster? Why are they destroying his monster kayfabe on the exact same webpage? Like, remember when the front page of the WWE webpage had a picture of the Demon King with his mom? How does this not ruin the character? Can you imagine the WWE doing this with wrestlers back in the day? Like, can you imagine them doing this with The Undertaker and The Ultimate Warrior? It would have ruined the characters. In my opinion, the WWE is making fools out of their own current characters. They're making the male wrestlers look like a bunch of goofballs. One of the big reasons why the women's revolution failed was the booking and the writing. But another reason why it failed is the female wrestlers themselves. I mean, have you noticed how tiny today's female wrestlers are? Like, when you look at like Becky Lynch, Sasha Banks, Bayley, Alexa Bliss, they look like they're like 5'5", 120 pounds. They look the opposite of larger than life. They look like these tiny little girls with no personality. So when Becky Lynch tries to walk tough like, it looks like a complete joke. It looks like your little sister trying to be tough. And the 50-50 booking sure as hell doesn't help either. These were on the front page of the WWE webpage. Ronda Rousey puts Becky Lynch in an armbar. Then the next night, Becky Lynch has Charlotte in an armbar. No one looks strong. No one gets over. Everyone stays in the middle. And you wonder why we have no new stars. It's because the WWE doesn't seem to want any new stars. They seem to want to keep everyone average and in the middle. Female wrestlers back in the day looked more like alpha women, like Chyna, Sensational Sherry, Medusa. They looked more like badasses that took no shit from anyone. I mean, doesn't it look like Chyna would destroy Becky Lynch and Bayley at the same time? I mean, the female wrestlers back in the day, they were a lot more tougher, meaner. They looked more alpha. And that's what the people want to see. They want to see Chyna destroying Marlena. They don't want to see Becky Lynch walking like an idiot and playing video games on YouTube. That's not larger than life. Can you believe that Alexa Bliss was at SummerSlam dressed up like Buzz Lightyear? I mean, what kind of indie level crap is that? I mean, can you imagine Chyna dressed up like Buzz Lightyear? Can you imagine, remember when Sensational Sherry was feuding with Medusa in WCW? Can you imagine during that feud one of them comes out dressed up like Buzz Lightyear? Of course not, because it would have made him look stupid as shit. I mean, look, I like Alexa Bliss, and I like Toy Story. But I don't want Alexa Bliss dressed up like Toy Story, because it makes the product look like bullshit. It makes it look not larger than life. A real world champion like The Rock and Stone Cold, you can't imagine them coming out to the ring dressed up like Buzz Lightyear. So in my opinion, that pretty much summarizes today's wrestling product. We got these male wrestlers with their balls cut off and who look like everyday guys, and we got these tiny little female wrestlers that look like they weigh 100 pounds. It's sad enough as it is, but to add insult to injury, now we have these intergender matches where the male wrestlers are getting beat up by the tiny little female wrestlers. Like, you'll have this pretty muscular guy going up against this tiny little female wrestler, and they're like trading punches like it's a 50-50 match. Like, what is this supposed to be? Some kind of joke? How is that not an insult to the wrestling industry? What the wrestling industry seems to be doing is that they seem to be cutting the balls off the male wrestlers elevating the tiny female wrestlers and calling that a women's revolution. But how the hell is that supposed to work? Like, what is that? Is that trying to pander to mainstream female audiences? In my opinion, that's nothing but an insult to the intelligence of female audiences, because female audiences, in my opinion, are smart enough to know that a 100-pound female wrestler, a tiny little female wrestler, trading punches with a big muscular 250-pound guys, and it's a 50-50 match, is ridiculous. It's absurd. In my opinion, the mainstream female audience is never going to buy into this pandering PC bullshit. I was at an indie wrestling event, and it was near a college campus, so a bunch of these random college kids showed up to the wrestling event just for fun. They were barely wrestling fans. Sitting behind me was a row of random college girls, and during the event, there was an intergender match between Joey Ryan and this little female wrestler. And the college girls behind me, they thought it was so stupid the way the little female wrestler was beating up Joey Ryan for a part of the match. Then, during the match, Joey Ryan starts doing his penis thing, and the college girls behind me, they get even more offended. One of them was like, "Seriously? Seriously? You have this ridiculous intergender match, and on top of that, the best thing that they could think of is to have the male wrestler try to get the female wrestler to grab his penis? Really? Seriously? That's the best thing they could think of?" And a neckbeard fan, random fan, walked by and he was like, "Yeah, it's these kinds of matches, intergender matches, that make me humiliated to be a wrestling fan. Look, if these wrestling promotions think that these kinds of intergender matches are going to appeal to like these mainstream female audiences like the college girls behind me, then in my opinion, they're delusional, right? In my opinion, the idea that Tessa Blanchard is going up against all these men in Impact Wrestling is absurd. In my opinion, it's absurd to both male and female audiences. When people go to a wrestling event, they want to see wrestlers that are larger than life. Hogan versus Andre, Hogan versus Warrior, The Rock versus Stone Cold, The Rock versus Brock Lesnar, which is like a clash of the titans. And as an audience member, you're like, whoa. You know, they don't want to see these vanilla indie jobbers flipping around in the ring. They don't want to see like a skinny little dork like Seth Rollins as world champion. You guys sure are a lot of fun, you know. They don't want to see these big goofy guys like Braun Strowman. I'm Mr. Monster in the Bank. And they don't want to see these tiny little female wrestlers that look like they're 5'5", 120 pounds. Right? In my opinion, trying to do a female women's revolution with these tiny little female wrestlers that have no personality, that was never going to fly. Bring back the alpha males and bring back the alpha females.